A big win last week with the return of quarterback Carson Wentz, and everybody in the world of the Philadelphia Eagles is happy. Hello everyone and welcome. I'm Eagles Insider Dave Spadaro, and we want to keep you smiling with a great show here on Inside the Eagles. Last Sunday, the Eagles inducted their 2018 Hall of Fame class, and we had a chance to sit down and talk with Clyde Simmons and Seth Joyner about their time with the Gang Green defense and their love for the city of Philadelphia. But we'd like to start the show with a truly inspiring story. Last year, the story of Lukas Custers, the Dutch destroyer, caught the nation's eye and tugged at the heartstrings. It was an important story for a lot of reasons, and it helped save at least one life. You see, Lukas's death helped Maximus Schott live. This is our Road to Victory exclusive.
This is Lukas Custers.
Oh my God! Oh.
You helped me so much.
It's really good to meet you guys.
You as well. Thank you so much.
There are few things that can bring two strangers to tears. But when you've battled childhood cancer, the bond is immediate and immeasurable. What Lukas Custers' life and story did for the Schott family was to allow the book of their son Maximus to be written. But to grasp Max's new beginning, you need to understand the journey of Lukas, the Dutch destroyer.
Lukas was the most active kid I've ever met, a little daredevil. He was, always had me worried about what he was doing, and he loved having older brothers. He was just constantly roughhousing with them and with all of their friends, and very early on had a passion for football.
His passion for football in an Eagles family led to spirited discussions about the team. Lukas and Rebecca would pass the time in the hospital talking about the hope that Carson brought to the Eagles when he was drafted.
Right around the time that he was in the hospital for his first extended stay was when there was all this talk about Carson Wentz. We just loved him from the minute we saw him. We just thought that you could very much tell everything about who he was just from his smile. So as his treatment progressed, he really formed a bond with one of his radiation techs. She had reached out to the Eagles and sort of told his story. Like a week later, we were in the hospital and Lukas received a package. It had a number of things in it, but the most special thing to him was a video from Carson. It was a personalized video, and that just meant the absolute world to him. He was blown away by it.
Hey Lukas, Carson Wentz here. Heard you're a big fan and you made it out to the game last year. Just want you to know that we're all thinking about you. Personally praying for you, wish you the best, and God bless, bud.
As Lukas's disease progressed and the prognosis turned bleak, he wanted to use his Make-A-Wish to thank Carson for the video in person.
Carson and Lukas just, formed this bond that I don't think anybody can fully explain in that short time. So after we had the opportunity to meet him and Lukas had the chance to thank him and share one of his bracelets with him, we were approached and asked to sort of tell his story and talk about the relationship with him and Carson. And I did have to think about it at first, but ultimately we thought that if we could in any way help anyone else by telling Lukas's story, we were absolutely going to do that. So ultimately that's what it came down to, was sharing his story and talking about his fight and the things that he went through. We hoped in some way that would touch lives.
Rebecca's courageous decision to share Lukas's story made a huge impact on the public. The story was shared thousands of times on social media. People wept. People shared their stories about childhood cancer. But for one family, the story completely changed their lives. Just miles away, Jerry and Gabby were seeing their son Maximus struggle with an undiagnosed illness. At a time when they needed answers, they just had symptoms.
Some days he would be perfectly fine, and then some days he would be just not himself at all. His stomach was like the big thing that really started to worry us. And my mom's a nurse, and she, sees him like once a week. And to her, like, she kept noticing, like, it's getting bigger. Like, she was very concerned. And to her, that was like a red flag, the stomach thing and him being tired.
As Jerry reached out to friends on social media, Lucas's story came across his timeline.
I started looking at it, and I was in tears. This is before I even thought anything. And it was like the mom was talking to me, like, she said that, Lucas complained about his belly, that his stomach hurt. I just kept watching it over and over again, and I'm like, it was telling me, like, something was up.
In the following days, Jerry and Gabby kept a close eye on Max.
Saturday comes, his cousins come over, so pizza comes, he gives his cousin pizza, all he wanted was ice. So I give him ice, and I'm looking like something's not right. Meanwhile, the story was playing in my head. So Sunday comes, we call our family doctor, said bring him in office on Monday. Okay, so Monday we bring him in, he tells us to go to the hospital. Me being the way I grew up, we went into a room with tissues that this is not gonna be good.
With the reality quickly sinking in and a diagnosis of leukemia, doctors immediately ordered blood and platelet transfusions. As Max's condition stabilized, Jerry and Gabby began to witness the enormity of how cancer affects a child, not only internally, but externally as well.
He looked completely different. Like, he did not look like Max. And that was like the hardest part. When he had gained so much weight from the steroids. He gained probably 25 pounds in 1 month for a little tiny 4-year-old, just to see your kid not be able to go up and down the steps,
As the days turned into weeks and weeks into months, the Shots attacked this fight together.
Kristen, this is what we do. Do this, and that means a hug and a kiss.
I do.
And guess what? A shark.
You're sweet.
He's already gotten 3 bone marrows, 10 spinal taps, medicine, steroids, lost his hair twice. I had to give him needles. It's hard, it wears on you, and I don't know how people do it. In the hospital, he's never seen me cry before, and once I got it together, I said I'm not gonna cry anymore. I said, you ready to fight with me? He said, yeah. He gave me a pound. He said, let's do it, bro. I said, all right, let's do it. So ever since then, I stopped asking questions. The numbness wore off, stopped feeling guilty, stopped, what did we do wrong? Where'd it come from? It just happened. So instead of worrying about all those things, I shift to positive stuff. So, okay, you're gonna be all right. Do your thing.
It's still there.
Yes, it is.
Yes, it is. It is. Oh my gosh.
And today, while Max is not cured, he is in remission.
Oh, outlook is, he's gonna get a full head of hair, get that beach body ready. We're gonna hit the beach. I'm good with it now. He has to fight alone. We fight with him. But now the outlook is great. And it wasn't for a while until, now he's in what they call maintenance phase, about to be in, where he can go out and do stuff. It was rough, it was rough. It does make you come together and say, okay, take turns. I'm definitely banned from the spinal taps because they kind of wore on me. As nurses and doctors and counselors, you're on timeout. I'm like, you know what, I'll take a timeout, I'm good.
With Maximus finally being able to be out in the world again, the Shots wanted to introduce Rebecca and the Custers to the boy who Lucas helped save. This past August, that opportunity arose.
This is Lukas Custer.
Oh my God, oh.
You helped me so much.
It is just humbling.
So much.
It just is an indication that we absolutely made the right choice. We made the right choice to tell his story. And in a way, it's comforting for me because even though he's not physically here with us, he's still making an impact.
As the families embraced, the anguish was replaced with hope, the sorrow with promise.
Hello?
Five hugs, what do you want?
The promise of another chapter in the book of Max. And the promise that Lucas's story would never be forgotten.
We'll be back with much more when Inside the Eagles returns. Philadelphia is all about defense, in the class of 2018. The Eagles Hall of Fame certainly epitomizes that. We've got the inductees into this class here. Clyde Simmons, great defensive end. Seth Joyner, great linebacker. Playing in Philadelphia, playing in front of these fans. Defense is what it's all about. Your thoughts on what it meant to the Eagles fans to have you here in Philadelphia, the gangrene era?
What gangrene? I could say it's as a football player, this is the most rewarding time of my life as a football player. You know, played a lot of different places, but you know, the knowledge of the fans, the love and passion that they showed us, it just, you know, for me, there's no other place as a player that I've been at that I will ever want to be at.
It was perfect for me. You know, I think, you know, my personality kind of embodies the whole Philly experience anyway. So when you walked out in that stadium and you see fans just like losing their mind, and you know when you do something good on the field, what the response is going to be. Even when you do something bad on the field, you know what the response is going to be. But you know at the end of the day that those guys are rooting for you. They're going to be behind you 100%.
When we think of those days, we think of ferocious defense. We think of the black cleats. We think of Buddy Ryan. We think of all the players, Randall, Reggie, Jerome, etc. Veterans saying, what do you guys think about?
I think, you know, for me, it's just playing with these guys, you know, because we came in, I remember my rookie year, I think we went 5-10-1. You know, it wasn't looking too good, you know, for us as a team and as an organization, for an organization that had already been down. But systematically, you could see over the next couple of years, you could see the improvement. And, you know, when I talk about growing up in the game, me and this guy came in the same year. Keith Byers came in the same year. Eric Allen and Keith Jackson were drafted, you know, 1 and 2 the next year. And it's like, you know, you could see us kind of growing up together. And as we grew together as a total team, there was nothing like taking that field every Sunday and battling it out with guys that, you know, you came up as babies in the NFL with. And after a while, you know, you could see yourself growing up.
Guys, tell me what it was like in that locker room with all those personalities.
Fun, quite a bit of conflict, a whole bunch of trash talking, and people think there was a whole lot of trash talking that went on in the field. You know, the way that we gave the business to each other in the locker room, it was like a family. It's like, you know, I got an older brother and a younger sister. You know, I got it from my brother and she got it from me. So that's just the way that it was, but it was the same way in the locker room. You know, there was multiple personalities. There were guys that were jokesters. There was quiet guys. There were guys that, you know, that didn't necessarily get along. That's going to be the case, you know, when you got, you know, 53 guys on a roster. Not everybody's going to see eye to eye, but one thing is for sure, when we walked out of that tunnel on a Sunday with all the same colored jerseys on, we were on the same mission.
Exactly. I mean, you know, the personalities were quite different. You know, even the persona of what's on the field and off the field, you know, all the stuff right there. The minister will give his stuff right there, get riled up and all that, but he was a big prankster. Jerome was fiery 90% of the time, and the other 10% of the time, he was putting his foot on somebody. So, you know, but it was family. And I mean, you got a bunch of group of guys that come from different backgrounds, different ways of thinking and all the stuff, and then the trash talking. I believe that the trash talking was way harsher in the locker room than they ever got on the field. So, you know, in the field, it was pretty bad out there, but in the locker room, it was even worse.
Gentlemen, what does it mean for you to be in the Philadelphia Eagles Hall of Fame?
To me, it shows that your career mattered. You know, to do what you do for as long as you did it, and then finally get in and start being recognized that you was a pretty good football player. You know, when you sit down and you wonder, well, was I really? You know, you know, people say, oh, you was a great player, you're a great player. Yeah, but you don't see it until you start getting those things that says, oh, this validates that you was a good player.
I think, you know, for me, it's the closing of the circle, if you will. You know, I came in with this guy, walking out with this guy. You know, I've seen, you know, the montage over at the link of all the Hall of Fame players. I mean, I wish my mom could have been here, you know, to see this, because there was no one more prouder of me than her. And then I think about, you know, my teammates that are gone, and, you know, those guys are in over there. And when you think about the Eagles Hall of Fame, I'm thinking about the fact that in the years to come when I'm gone, my face will always be remembered. So when those kids that aren't even born yet, they become Eagles fans, and they go and they look at the history of the game, they will look up there and they'll see Clyde and Seth Joyner, class of 2018.
Guys, congratulations. Well done. All about the defense for the Philadelphia Eagles when they get ready for the Tennessee Titans on Sunday. We look back at the history of the Eagles and the Titans. It's our old school All-22. Merrill Reese and Mike quick when we return to Inside the Eagles.
Hi everyone, I'm Merrill Reese along with Mike Quick, and welcome to Old School All-22. This week, the Eagles are playing the Tennessee Titans, and I can remember a game in which they beat the Titans, and they got to the Titans quarterback, Zach Mettenberger, repeatedly with some big sacks.
Well, that defense, they were ferocious. They had a lot of guys that flew around, and, you know, they were quarterback hungry. Trent Cole was one of those guys that was just an outstanding football player coming off the edge, and another one of those guys that played at one speed, all out. Early in the third quarter, the Eagles faced 2nd and 6 from the 36-yard line. They came out in the nickel defense with 4 defensive linemen and 2 linebackers. But when you look at the defensive line, you'll notice that the Eagles swapped some of their players up front. Fletcher Cox lines up to the left as a defensive end alongside Benny Logan, which left Trent Cole inside of Connor Barwin on the right. With Logan lined up head up over the center, the protection was easily cut in half, creating a one-on-one matchup for Cole and Barwin. Cole blew past the guard upfield with a hand swipe and brought the quarterback down for a sack to force third down. On the next play, the Eagles faced 3rd and 13, and this time they came out in their dime package with 4 defensive linemen, 1 linebacker. This time, it was Fletcher Cox lined up over the center, creating a one-on-one matchup with Barwin and Cole on the right side. After winning with an outside move on the previous snap, Cole wins inside against the left tackle and gets home for a sack to force a punt. The Eagles finished the day with 5 sacks in what was a resounding 43-24 victory over the Titans.
Inside the Eagles is brought to you by McDonald's, proud partner of the Philadelphia Eagles, and by Rothman Institute at Jefferson, the official orthopedic and healthcare partner of the Philadelphia Eagles. This is one of my favorite parts of the show because each week we hear from you, Eagles fans. We ask you to go on Twitter @Eagles and use the hashtag #AskAnEagle and send a question in for us. We'll get one of those questions to the players, and voila, it will be on the show. It's our Ask an Eagle segment presented by Geico, and this week we talk with Pro Bowl right guard Brandon Brooks.
At ZT Billingham asked, what's your go-to snack at Wawa? I always get a ham and cheese with jalapenos, onions, lettuce, and then I get a side of mac and cheese. And then if I'm feeling, real bold, I get a sweet tea on the side.
And that will do it for this week's Inside the Eagles as the team gets ready for Tennessee on Sunday in Nashville, a big one for the Philadelphia Eagles. Hey, if you haven't already done so, please check out our exclusive series on the Eagles YouTube channel. It's called The Comeback. We go inside the rehab of key players, including Carson Wentz, as they make their way back to the football field. The entire series dropped on Friday, so check it out on the Eagles YouTube channel. Thanks so much for joining, everyone. Have yourselves a great Eagles day, and fly, Eagles, fly.